Many thanks for choosing us. Let's begin with members of Parliament from the majority side who say they will not support the minority censure to remove Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. They reiterated that they will want the President to sack Ken Ofori-Atta, adding that he should not be the one to present the 2023 budget to Parliament. The motion, which stands in the name of the minority, wants to force President Akufo-Addo to dismiss his cousin, the Finance Minister. The NPP has directed the majority chief whip to ensure no NPP MP partakes in the vote on the motion of censure. MP for Efijiase Asokore, Dr. Nana Ayu-Afriye, addressed the media.
We are here to reiterate that however much that you heard us speaking the last 2 weeks, that based upon the intervention of the President, we would have to see the Minister of Finance do his work, read budget, see through appropriation, and then the President will act. Over a few days, we've had the Finance Minister speaking, and his speaking is informed majority of us in the caucus. Not only to state that we are back to the original position that we took, and that original position is to say that the Minister of Finance will not be the one who must read the budget and must not be the one who will do the appropriation. We are here this morning to say that this is going to be very soon for you to see the position of us, and we are going to be positively defiant on that posture until that action is taken. However, we are not going to support the cause of the NDC in the chamber this morning. The cause of the NDC is premised on falsehood, propaganda, and reasons that are not justifiable. Their position might look like ours, but it's not the same. You will not be able to come to the chamber to level 10 issues that borders on criminality over a person who is not there to defend himself. And we have come to let you know. Let you not confuse the public or yourselves about the cause of the majority and that of the minority. It is not the same. Ours remain as it is. After a meeting this afternoon, we will definitely come back to state our position, and it will be that, yes, our feeling is the confidence in the Finance Minister has gone down, but for COVID, and for the Russian war, he was doing very well, the economy is doing very well, but when people are hard-pressed, they have no understanding to the logic of competence and hard work. And when they lose confidence, the only sector that when you lose confidence, it affects the market and affects the pocket of the people is the Finance Ministry. And therefore, for us, we have nothing personal against him. Our position is clearly that if confidence has gone down with him, he must go. And that is not the same as that of the NDC. And this is what we have come to inform you this morning. Thank you very much.
Meanwhile, the minority says they are disappointed in the majority for refusing to support the censure vote.
Who do you think you will get majority to support you? Will you get the MPP to support you?
Listen to me. If the MPP means business, if they really know that the press conference they did, it was genuine and it is not to deceive Ghanaians. One, the speaker said Parliament has power to do a whole lot of things, not to approve certain things, and so on and so forth. He meant Parliament, by meaning Parliament means the whole MPP group plus NDC group. So if we are undertaking a program for Ghana, for Mother Ghana, and they also said, yeah, they have done a press conference to that effect, then this is why it must reflect whether it was a genuine press conference or they were just to deceive Ghanaians.
Some of your MPP colleagues are now saying that your cause are not the same, and that despite they being against the Finance Minister, they are against your censure motion because it is based on falsehood. What do you make of that?
It clearly means that they are not serious themselves. Why? Because ultimately everybody wants the Finance Minister to go away. If you want to go to Kumasi, you can either go by air, you can travel through vehicle or anything. So if you want the Finance Minister to go out, we all have the same ultimate game. So they must follow us to do the right thing. You don't say that because we are not following you, you will not support us. Because the Finance Minister must go.
Right. This motion is set to fail clearly.
Yeah. Oh, it's not set to fail. It's going to set a record straight. We are going to make a history today.
Right. Okay. Honorable.
It is clear that the NPP majority in Parliament are playing double standard. They have chosen their party interest over the country's interest. The people of Ghana really want the Minister of Finance go. Unfortunately, they have decided to disappoint the people of Ghana. And clearly, what they did last 2 weeks was nothing but politics. They never meant it. They were doing it to shield the vice president. They were doing it to shield the president, and they never meant it. So they know that the economic crisis that we are going through obviously is not good enough, but they are clueless. They have no solution, and obviously they don't want to create impression that their party is the one that has failed. So they are trying to say that the finance minister must go for a reason. We believe the time has come for the Ministry of Finance to have a fresh person to lead it, and obviously the chairman of the economic management team, he must also go. He must also go. So what we are starting today is not only for the finance minister to go. One, we believe the finance minister must go, the governor of the Bank of Ghana must go, the chairman of the economic management team must go, and the entire economic management team must be reconstituted.
So what will happen today? They are not clearly going to support you.
Yeah.
They have only 136 MPs.
Yes.
You need about 47 of them. They say they are not supporting you. This will fail.
Let me say that if it fails today, we are going to turn our guns on the president, because clearly the president has failed. He is the one that we all have to blame, and if obviously it's clear that he's the one who hired such an incompetent Minister of Finance who has mismanaged our lifestyle and our livelihood, then he's failing to sack the person. Then clearly it means that we should bring an impeachment proceedings against the president himself, because that is what it means, because he's the one who is supposed to sack him. He's failing to sack him. You've employed someone who can do it, and you don't want to sack the person too, and obviously it's clear that he's the one who has failed. So probably we have to consider the impeachment proceedings.
Difference is just the approach, and I'm sure if we negotiate and engage further, we can find a common path so the minister can exit. Yeah.
Today the NPP themselves are resolved that keeping Kenofodata for any 1 hour longer is a disaster for this country. The man is a walking disaster. And once they themselves have come to the conclusion that Kenofodata is a disaster, why will they not? This is an excellent opportunity for them to walk the talk that they told us that Kenofodata is a disaster and must go. If you have been parasiting food and they call for free food, it's like your wife has just cooked. So why now they have the free food? The opportunity for the censure is moved, and now they are running away. You know, so it is abundantly clear that they will be reneging on their responsibility. And I said that today is a historic day in Parliament. That the people will see who is truly beholden to the national interests of this country, who is truly standing up for the oppressed masses, who is truly standing up for the excruciating hardship that our people are suffering, who is trying to do something about that hardship and make sure that they terminate the man with legendary incompetence who has inflicted this massive damage on the country. Okay. Today, the good people of this country will sit down on the floor.
I've seen that today you've been very short on proverbs. Which one comes easily to mind?
No, I've already said that the MPP has died in the market. You don't need to announce their demise. And it is clear, when the house has fallen, do you ask whether the roof is still standing? It's clear, everything has collapsed.
So you have the minority members expressing their displeasure and disappointment in their NPP colleagues for refusing to support the censure. And of course, they need about 47 members from the NPP to be able to carry this through. You are hearing the NPP today telling you that they will not support the censure. What's the difference? Because the NPP says they still want the minister out, but they will not support a censure. Well, Article 82 of the Constitution guarantees that if a minister is not, if the citizens are not satisfied with the work of a minister, there are procedures that could be taken to actually censure that minister. The minority is actually testing that provision in the Constitution. Let me go straight to Parliament and speak with our correspondent, Kwekwa Sante, who is monitoring events for us. Kwekwa Sante, what is happening on the floor of Parliament as far as this vote of censure is concerned?
So, Aisha, the Speaker of Parliament just took his seat in the House. The House has just started sitting and considering other business. We've just finished considering the votes and proceedings of the House. But our understanding is that the specific vote of censure motion will not be considered until about 1 p.m. because there are some back-channel conversations going on currently, and the expectation is that maybe the finance minister will see reason and resign. That is some information, a very deep throat source is giving me, that the expectation is that the minister will resign so that this censure motion will be rendered moot. But just as you've seen there, a bit of cacophony here, the minority MPs coming into the chamber, chanting war songs, chanting and saying that they want the support of their colleagues on the NPP. The NPP MPs surprisingly say, well, we also want the finance minister out. And indeed, we have changed our position from when we accepted the president's call to hold on, and we don't want him to present the budget nor lead the appropriation. But we will not support this vote of censure. The minority say this is surprising. This is simply because NPP MPs are playing politics with this whole issue. Despite all this, they are still insisting that they will move their motion of censure after 1 p.m. if any signal is not given that the finance minister is resigning or leaving his post. When that is done, it will be interesting to see what the majority MPs do, whether or not they decide to vote or not. The information we've had and the directive from the NPP party is that they should abstain from the vote. But for now, we are expecting that when the motion is moved, debated, the finance minister will be head his own defense. We have not seen the finance minister on the floor. We don't know if he has elected for someone else to represent him in this matter. So very interesting few hours ahead of us today, Aisha.
So talking about that directive from the party that majority MPs shouldn't partake in this, are they in the chamber this morning as we speak?
It's almost a full house, especially on the minority side. Almost all 136 MPs, NDC MPs are here. If you look at the majority side, it's not a full squad, but you have a number of the majority MPs present. Indeed, you could say the majority of them are present. Most of their benches are filled. And so if they are expected to go by this directive, and I put that question directly to Habib, who is the majority deputy whip, he said that they do not want to let out their strategies at the moment, but his expectation is that when they get onto the floor, whatever they've decided to do, they will do it. You can see much of a full house. But the expectation generally is that when it's time to vote on this censure motion, they will not participate. When an NPP MP's name is mentioned for him to go into the booth to vote, the expectation is that he will say he's abstaining. And so, very much interested. It's not so clear because the NPP MPs are refusing to let the public in on the kind of strategy they are using to fight this vote of censure against the finance minister.
The indication is that Ajosafo is around and could be in Parliament today. Have you cited her?
So Ajosafo is not in the chamber. They've not cited her anywhere near the precincts of Parliament, although the general understanding is that Ajosafo is back in town. She's in Ghana, but on Tuesday she wasn't here. Yesterday she wasn't here either. And on this morning as well, we haven't cited her. It will be interesting to see whether she comes in later or not and what kind of perspective she brings to this debate. But Ajosafo is not in Parliament as we speak.
Kwakwasante is our correspondent in Parliament. We're definitely keenly interested in this vote of censure. We'll bring you all of that happening in Parliament. Away from Parliament, though, the Sona family at Gomoa Akraman is calling on the Inspector General of the Ghana Police to intervene in an adverse claim of their lands by land guards to avert further bloodshed in the area. One person was shot and killed, and dozens were injured in the last dispute at Gomoa Akraman in the Central Region on Tuesday. According to the head of family, David Akwa, they are losing trust in the police service and other state institutions that ought to protect them. Speaking to JoyNews, head of family says if the police do not act, they may be compelled to react, which may result in violence.
Tuesday, I was in town. Then they called me that Rahman with land gas has been on our land grading people's crops and everything. So the youth of the town also raised up and said, no, we cannot sit down for Rahman. This young.
That's David Akwa, the head of the Asana royal family at Gomoa Akraman, narrating what the chiefs and people of Gomoa Akraman have been through and are still going through.
So there was a crash between the land gas and my citizen. In fact, there was a gunshot and one of the land guards lost his life. As I speak now, 4 of my citizens has been arrested and detained at the regional police headquarters. So one of my guys who has been detained at the police cells was severely injured on the head. Since Tuesday,
night up to Wednesday afternoon before they sent the guy. When they saw that the guy was now becoming weak, before they sent the guy to hospital.
One person was shot and killed and 11 persons were injured when residents faced off with land guards they say are laying adverse claim on their lands and demolishing their structures. David Akwa alleges the police and other state institutions appear to have been compromised and there seems to be no justice in sight for them. He is appealing to the IGP to intervene.
But what I have heard that some of the land had been demarcated to those police officers. That is why they are now, when we reported to them, they failed to call him. There's one instance, I went to the commander, that's Zojobi. So he scheduled appointment that we should meet on the 11 o'clock. I said that thing till 3 p.m. and the commander told me, Rahman said he's in the court, so he cannot come. In the same way, we called him at the regional police command. He failed to come. Police, I sent him to Director General of CID. That place too, when I went there, they said they called Rahman. Rahman failed to come. Director for Operation, we went there, the same thing. They said Rahman failed to respond. So it means that Rahman is bigger than Ghana Police Service. That is why I'm calling IGP, please, to intervene in our issue.
He says if the police do not intervene, the consequences in the community might be graver if they are left to their fate.
We, since I was installed as a Bushapeni in my family, we have tried to demarcate all our land. So after the demarcation has been done, I sent to Cape Coast Regional Survey Department for search. This is the search I'm holding. The portion mark Sister 3 is affected by recorded transaction, but information cannot be traced. So we don't understand.
So you feel that it's been tampered with?
There is something wrong with it. How can you register a land and you told me you cannot find the information on it? That's why we will never sit down for this young man to take our land from us. The property belongs to us. It's our ancestors who left that property for us. And we never allow, even if we die, if the police people come there to shoot, to kill us, yesterday, the next generation would never sit down.
For now, the alleged land guards are still taking the lands away from the community folk, and that's creating tension in the area. Richard Kwejenyako, Joy News, Accra.
Ghanaian YouTuber Eloma Bebu, popularly known as Ama Governor, will not be called to the Ghana bar on Friday when her colleagues formally join the profession. This is despite her successful completion of the professional law program that saw her pass her exams and scale the interview session as well. She was due to be called on Friday but received a letter from the Secretary to the General Legal Counsel informing her of the decision. A complaint is said to have been received from a concerned citizen alleging that she lacks good character. A video recording of her YouTube content said to show her allegedly engaged in conduct unbecoming of an application to be called to the bar has been attached to the complaint. JoyNews sources say the General Legal Counsel has constituted a 3-member committee to investigate the complaint. Her call to the bar has meanwhile been put on hold pending the outcome of the investigation. This development has set Twitter talking amid condemnation by many regarding the decision of the General Legal Counsel. And here on your screens, you can see a few of those comments. If Ama Governor was fit to be a law student and wasn't sacked, then she's fit to be a lawyer. Call her to the bar and leave the assessment of her morals and social values to the law firms and organizations to decide her employability. Nana Ama Jemana Sante says, Ama Governor has been promoting LGBTQI in Ghana, which is against the law, and she wants to be a lawyer. I blame the people who destroyed public education in Ghana for the illogical arguments I have heard. Those are some of the comments on Twitter. Now, well, South Dai MP Roxanne Nelson Dafiamakpo says the directive by the director of the Ghana School of Law upon to the Ghana School of Law students to submit their social media handles to be monitored is tantamount to media censorship and gagging the students. He joins me on the line, but shortly, this is what he posted on Twitter. He says, directing law school students to submit social media handles for monitoring is an infringement on their constitutional rights to free expression. And the directive requests by Director of Ghana School of Law to law students to submit their social media handles to be monitored is tantamount to media censorship and gagging the students. The directive is most unconstitutional and unacceptable. It must not be countenanced in any manner or form in a 2022 Ghana. He joins me now on phone for more on this. I'm grateful for your time, sir. What is your reaction to the young lady who will not be called to the bar because of her YouTube and social media accounts?
Now, my reaction is one of shock and disbelief on grounds that the content of the letter from the General Legal Counsel alerting or putting the lady on notice that a complaint has been filed against her, reference the content of the professional, into bracket, professional conduct and etiquette instrument. Now, the LI that the General Legal Counsel referenced is in respect of the conduct of professionals. Now, the particular provision they reference is in respect of the eligibility for being called to the bar. But if you read the content of the complaint, based on which the General Legal Counsel is taking this action, the complaint alleges a breach of the conduct of the student handbook. Now, if you read the Ghana School of Law Students Handbook, a breach or a misconduct is actionable by the management of the school. There's a procedure. It doesn't get to the General Legal Counsel. It is held at the level of the registrar, and it is appealable from the registrar to the Board of Legal Education. So we need to be careful how we handle this matter. The complaint is about the conduct of the students. Somebody says that a student who is here to be a lawyer has misconducted himself and alleged certain things, and says that as a result of that, the code of conduct of students has been breached. So if you go to the handbook, the procedure the school itself outlines when there's a breach of conduct by a student, it's in the handbook. So I'm struggling to appreciate how the General Legal Counsel will come into this matter when it is about the conduct of a student. Yes, I agree that part of the eligibility criteria, you are supposed to pass your exam, and you are also supposed, there is also supposed to be a report of good conduct. Now, if there's supposed to be a report of good conduct, how is the good conduct determined when there's a complaint? The General Legal Counsel ought to wait and ensure that internal inquiry by the Ghana School of Law is exhausted and there's a report. So what the General Legal Counsel is supposed to do is to go ahead and, because you see, you must be innocent until proven guilty. That is the principle we work with in this country, in our system. So a mere allegation of complaint from which they should refuse to call you to the bar. Because when you are put to the bar in a case of misconduct.
Nelson Dafiameko is a member of Parliament. Go ahead, Mr. Dafiameko.
There's a procedure to disbar a lawyer who has been called properly to the bar and a case has been made. So they are being so unfair to the young lady. I'm not worried about the issues, but I'm looking purely at the legal procedure being employed. There appears to be some confusion. It is the law school that must handle this matter. not the General Legal Council. It is the Board of Legal Education, which I agree is under the General Legal Council. But this is not a matter that should engage the General Legal Council at this time.
So, in your opinion, the young lady should be called to the bar whilst investigations
should
commence?
Be called to the bar when the matter is determined and that misconduct is properly established. The General Legal Council can disbar her. You know, somebody doesn't make a mere allegation and then based on that, you refuse to call somebody to the bar. You must be innocent until you are proven guilty. That is the principle in our jurisprudence.
I'm grateful
why is the principle being overturned on its head?
Well, we'll see how this pans out. I'm grateful for your time this afternoon. Roxanne Nelson Dafiamekpo is a member of the Constitution, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee of Parliament. Now, in July 1965, Ghana's first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, introduced the Cedi notes and peso coins to replace the Ghanaian pounds, shillings and pence. However, weak economic fundamentals and mismanagement have depreciated the currency's value against other major trading currencies such as the US dollar and the pound. Men of God have previously prayed for the Cedi. Some politicians even claimed that dwarfs were depreciating the Cedi. Large lectures were held to diagnose the Cedi, but the Cedi is still performing poorly. Features editor Jojo Kobina has been wondering, what haven't we done to the Cedi?
According to Bloomberg, the Cedi is the world's worst performing currency. The currency's performance against all trading currencies, particularly the US dollar, has caused widespread concern. But the problem did not begin now. I could go further, but let's stick to 2012. The then governor of the Bank of Ghana, Kwesi Amissah-Arthur, called on Ghanaians to stop undermining the Cedi. Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia disagreed and tweeted on 3rd May 2012, and I quote, "The government is blaming speculators for the fall in the Cedi instead of tackling its depreciation." He tweeted again, "The free fall of the Cedi, which was being witnessed, is a vote of no confidence in the management of the economy."
When in doubt, observe the exchange rate.
The Cedi worsened in 2014 and many people were perplexed. The Cedi was 3 cedis 20 pesos at the end of that year. The Cedi lost cumulatively 31.3% against the dollar. Anita Disosu of the NDC even speculated that dwarfs were sitting on the Cedi. When the Cedi further depreciated, the General Overseer of the Action Chapel, Archbishop Duncan Williams, prayed for the Cedi to rise.
Hold up the Cedi with prayer, and I command the Cedi to recover, and I declare the Cedi will not fall. It will not fall. It will not fall any further. It goes out. I command the Cedi to climb. Say, I command the resurrection of the Cedi.
Dr. Bawumia addressed a lecture.
This evidence shows is that the economic fundamentals have been weaker during the period of NDC government. And just small shocks, negative or positive, can destabilize the economy.
100 days after the MPP was sworn into power in 2017, he proudly announced that he had arrested the Cedi.
The Cedi has appreciated in value. When we came in, it was running. Essentially, we have arrested it. and the IGP has the keys. He's locked it up.
But it is clear that the Cedi has broken jail and evaded rearrest. With the Cedi further depreciating, President Akufo-Addo reiterates the late Kwesi Amissah-Arthur's view on talking down the Cedi. He delivered his message in Akan, English and French.
Fellow Ghanaians, as the French would say, l'argent n'aime pas le bruit. To wit, money does not like noise. Sika impe dede.
So what haven't we done to our Cedi? We sacked the dwarf sitting on it, but it did not work. We prayed, but it is apparent that we have to do more than just pray. We have organized big lectures about the Cedi, but it has not worked. The Cedi has cumulatively lost more than 54% since the beginning of the year. Now let's pamper the Cedi all of you prophets and prophetess of doom, shh. Let's be gentle with the Cedi, and it may appreciate and maybe give the dollar a beating. But is there any lesson to be learned?
The lesson from history for governments is that you cannot manage the economy with propaganda.
Well, this shows our politicians should stop playing politics with the Cedi and really work to stabilize it. Jojo Kobna, Joy News.
Definitely Rajan and Palubri. We'll take a break. When we return, we'll bring you business.
Hello everyone, it's time to do business with me, Beverly Broom. Now to our first story. Stakeholders in the upstream sector have submitted a position paper to government to ensure the smooth transition of the oil and gas sector from a carbon-infused environment to a low-carbon economy. This was disclosed by the Chief Executive of the Upstream Petroleum Chamber, David Ampofo. According to him, 3 main recommendations were made to government with focus on gas production and monetization. Here's a report.
Speaking at the maiden annual Oil and Gas Conference organized by Ghana Upstream Petroleum Chamber, Chief Executive of the Chamber, David Ampofo, revealed that industry players have put together a position paper to guide the exploration and production of natural resources in the hope of joining to achieve the global goals on clean energy and climate change.
Gas should be our focus, because the transition really is oil now. It's going to move from oil to gas to renewables. That's the trend. We have a lot of gas. We've built pipelines. We've developed infrastructure for our gas. We can't just abandon it and go off when we've been working all these years for that. Okay, and it's big investment. So we need to develop that. We need to harness our gas. Ghana has a lot of natural gas. Comes from the oil offshore. It's in deep water. Okay, but we need infrastructure, the pipelines, the plants, processing plants. We need to make sure that we harness our gas, domestic gas resources. Okay, I know there's been talk also about bringing in LNG, importing gas. When there's a need for that, that will be fine. But we cannot forget about our own gas. It's the same as rice. Rather than import rice, grow your own rice. Yeah, especially in a time like this in the world where you see what's happening with our currency, we have to understand our resources. We must not underestimate.
Chairman of the Upstream Petroleum Chamber, Joe Mensah, reiterated the need to create a conducive environment to attract investments to build Ghana's gas infrastructure. According to him, other sectors will benefit if the right systems are put in place.
There's always constantly move to get back to cleaner, energy because of the carbon footprints that we find in the world today. And I think that we will transition from oil to gas to renewables. And I think each transition is going to take decades. It's not something that happens overnight. It's a gradual process that will take a long period of time for us to transition. And gas is what we will use to really transform this country. There's plenty of gas in the country, and that gas could be used not only to generate, energy and keep the lights on, but also for industrialization. Fertilizer plants could be built and using all these gas, and then we can get fertilizer to really promote, agriculture and get the yield that we have to go up and up.
Deputy Minister of Energy, William Oreku Edu, disclosed that ECOWAS has endorsed plans to begin the extension of the West African gas pipeline to Morocco.
It is worth mentioning that the Economic Community of West Africa, ECOWAS, has endorsed plans for the extension of the West African gas pipeline along the coastline from Nigeria to Morocco, with the objective of supplying the gas demand centers along the pipeline route, as well as inland demand centers. The completion of this project will result in increased access to energy to boost the socioeconomic activities of the sub-region. enhance the integration of our economies, create a platform for intra-African trade in natural gas while safeguarding the environment.
Now, the 2021-2022 National Service staff of CalBank PLC have renovated parts of the Ghana Blind Union facility in Accra. The initiative forms part of the bank's corporate social responsibility. Here's a report.
Handing over the refurbished facility to the union in a short ceremony, Head of People and Culture at CalBank PLC, Samuel Kwame Boafo, described the move as a manifestation of the bank's core values. He have admonished management and students to ensure that the facility is well utilized to motivate the bank do more.
For us as an institution, this is another manifestation of the core values that we have at the bank, which is entrusting us to be very responsible wherever we find ourselves. So the initiative by the service people is just a manifestation of what we live with and go by at CalBank, trusting our employees to be very responsible wherever. They say to whom much is given, much is also expected. And these are service people from their own meager allowances putting it together to help make their work easy. The little that they expect from the management here is to ensure that they put the facility to a very good use so that it can last for a lot more students to also benefit from. And then based on how they use it, maybe we can also go back to the larger the larger employees to say, let's come back and assist them some more.
President of the CalBank NSS staff, Godfrey Tamaklo, expressed joy at the opportunity to support a cause that will affect lives positively.
This actually gives me so much joy. It actually elates my soul to be able to touch lives and then affect them positively, because setting up an environment or a society where everyone could live peacefully and live comfortably, it's a goal that we all have to aspire for, because when you are visually impaired, that doesn't mean that you should stay in a settlement where you could endanger yourself or anything. We have to make sure that they all live comfortably, most importantly comfortably, so that they can actually take care of themselves and have a good atmosphere to be able to foster forward and then learn their trade.
Speaking on behalf of the Ghana Blind Union, Abdul Hamid thanked CalBank PLC for the kind gesture and called on corporate Ghana to follow suit.
We are thanking you, and that we are going to put it into good use and also maintain the place till we leave here. And I hope and pray those who will come after us will also maintain that place. And I also want to inform you that we still need more. Most of my colleagues don't have the tools we use to work with, like laptops, smartphones. I want you to take this message out there to corporate Ghana. If they can come to help us with those things, we'll be grateful.
And that's all for business. We have more business when you log on to myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Beverly Broom. Up next is sports.
Let's do sports here on JoyNews today with me, Muftau Nabila Abla. Exactly 10 days from today, we'll be counting down the clock to the first game of the FIFA World Cup that will be happening in Qatar later this month. FIFA has given a deadline of November 14 for countries to present their final list of scores for the tournament, and some countries have already done that. Let's take a look at the 26-man squad of Morocco for this year's FIFA World Cup. Cameroon have already released theirs. Now we take a look at that of Morocco as well. For Morocco, we have Bono, Mouni and Ahmed. And their defender, we have Ashraf Hakimi, There's Nusa Zrai, Roman Sais, Naif Agwed. There's Ashraf Dari. There's Jawad Al Yamik. There is Yahya Atiad Al Alal. There's Badri Benoun. For the midfielder is Safwan Amrabat, Salim Amala. There's Abdul Hamid Sabir. There's Azedin Unahi, Bilal Kanous, and Yahya Jabrani. For the attackers, Hakim Ziyech, Yusuf Al-Nasri, Sofian Bufal, Zakaria Abdul Kalal. There's Els Abdel, Amin Harid, Ilyas Cha, and Abdul Razak Abdallah, and there's also Walid Chadra. Let's take a look at that of Germany. Germany have also released their final squad for the FIFA World Cup, and the Germans, unfortunately, they were knocked out of the round of 16 of the tournament when they came up against South Korea. For their goalkeepers, there's Manuel Noah, there's Marc-Andre Stegen, and Kelvin Trapp. Defense is Amel Bella, Matthias Kinja, Christian Günther, Thilo Kehrer, Lucas, David Round, Antonio Rudiger, Nicolas Solé, Karim Adeyemi, they make up the midfielders, Julian Brandt, Nicolas Fulkrug, Serge Gnabry, Leon Goretzka, Mario Kosser. He scored that grand finale goal in the 2014 World Cup against Argentina, the only goal that won them the FIFA World Cup. Alke Gundogan, Kai Havertz, Jonas Hoffmann, Joshua Kimmich, Yusuf Mukoko, Jamal Musiala, Thomas Müller, and Leroy Sané. And there was the squad that was also released by Belgium. Belgium, they made it to the semi-final of the 2018 FIFA World Cup. Let's take a look at their squad as well, as their golden generation, 6 to win the tournament. And in goal post, the usual names, the likes of Thibaut Courtois. There's also Belair. There is also Castells. Defense, Adeworld. There's Branch. There's Five. Thiago Vertonghen. He makes a return to the team. Quite interesting. Carrasco is there. Captain. Kramer. There's Torgan Hazard, the younger brother of Eden Hazard. Kelvin De Bruyne. There is also Bentner. There's Saka as well. There's Tilleman. Tilleman, he plays for Leicester City. Axel Witsel and Romelu Lukaku and co. They're all in there for the final squad that has been put out by Roberto Martinez for the FIFA World Cup. So these are the players that have been assembled by the various countries. But more countries are releasing their scores. We expect Ghana's squad to be named on Monday. The Ghana Football Association has announced that the Ghana Football Association has announced that they will release the final squad for Ghana's participation in the FIFA World Cup on Monday. That is what the Football Association has announced on their official Twitter handle at Ghana Black Stars. Now we can talk about former captain of the senior national team, Stephen Appiah, and he has extolled the tactical ingenuity of Otto Addo and his technical team ahead of this year's FIFA World Cup in Qatar. The Borussia Dortmund talent trainer leads a strong team comprising George Boateng, Didi Dramane, and Chris Hughton. Appiah, who made 67 appearances for the senior national team, says that Otto Addo-led technical team will live up to the expectations in Qatar.
Otto is one of those guys that you will never understand him because of the way he carried himself. You will be talking with Otto, he's happy, but you won't see him smiling. Now he's the coach, and I'm very, very happy with George Boateng. I mean, these are two young men who have learned so much, they have learned a lot. They understand the game. They understand the game not because I'm saying that, but they prove it when we played against Nigeria in Abuja. You know, in our system, from the local teams, from the under-17 to the national team, the senior national team, what we know is 4-4-2. But when we played against Nigeria in Abuja, I mean, we saw what they did. All of a sudden, they changed the game to 3-5-2. You can call it another system, but they changed the game. That's why Eguavon was so confused. He was standing there and not understanding the game anymore. So when you want to pick coaches. It's not only what they do at the training ground. It's their impact in the game. And I think that they showed it. So I'm very happy that, my colleague, Otoado is now the coach of the Black
And
Stars.
Didi Dramani is also assisting.
Oh yeah, Didi, talking about Didi, we were in Egypt. I knew him before Egypt. And this is a man who, he has so much. He's very, very intelligent. He understands the game, he reads the game. So having Otto, George Watson, and Didi Drama, I think that that's the best choice. That's the best choice. And I hope we'll go to Qatar and just not go in there, but to make an impact.
Which one do you believe? We're going to make an impact, or we're
No,
just doing
we will, because watching our players now, they are all in top form. And this is the time that I've been seeing watching Champions League, watching the Europa Cup. I've been seeing Ghanaians playing.
Okay.
So that means, they are doing well, and I hope that they will take the same form to Qatar.
That's your sports for now, but we do have more sports stories on my joyonline.com and also at 2 p.m. when my colleague Nathaniel Atto comes your way with sports today. We appreciate your company.
Then that'll be it for the bulletin this afternoon. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Log on to myjoyonline.com. You have updates of all the developing stories to enjoy the rest of our programs.